That's one of my big concerns, the way women were treated and the way you were raised.
Right now, in my head, I'm like, here we go. Good luck proving yourself.
My 3 children and some of my closest friends don't know that that she even exists, that she's coming to the US, that she's trans.
You literally physically cheated on me.
You cheated emotionally.
Secrets can destroy relationships, and this week there are a lot of secrets coming to light. Take, for example, Juan and Jessica. So we pick up where the episode left off last week, with Juan having just made a massive confession to Jessica's friends.
Did you sleep with that girl?
I did. Made a mistake.
Juan finally admits it. Yes, when I was on the cruise, I cheated on Jessica. I was lonely, I was stupid, and I made a mistake, he says. But this is where things kind of take a weird turn. Now, don't get me wrong, I understand that Megan is Jessica's best friend. I understand that she's protective. But given how Jessica has reacted, right, barely any reaction at all, Megan's reaction, by contrast, seems slightly over the top.
It's taken a year for you to admit this to me, Juan, when I confronted you in Colombia a year ago.
My bad.
Yeah.
Again, I get that she's angry, right? No one wants their best friend to be cheated on. She's worried about Jessica. But just look at Jessica. She's completely calm. It's as if the roles have been reversed. Like, if you're a bystander at the bar watching this all unfold, you'd be forgiven for thinking that Juan had just cheated on Megan. Now, on that note, Juan says, I didn't tell you a year ago because, frankly, it was none of your business. There's only one person that I owe an explanation to, and it's Jessica. And as it turns out, that is why Jessica is so calm. She's already been provided an explanation.
I do want to say, I did know this. It's something that we decided to work through.
You're my best friend, Jess. I know.
As my best friend, Jessica says, I wanted to protect you, Megan. Now, again, I don't entirely understand why it's Megan who's the one that needs protecting. This isn't her relationship. But for what it's worth, Juan had admitted to cheating a long time ago. Jessica chose to forgive him. She's willing to work through this. But of course, that does come with conditions. Her ability to forgive isn't unlimited.
I can forgive him for failing while we're at a distance. So I will not forgive him if he fails, if we are together.
Now, during that period where the cheating occurred, they tell us, we were not only physically apart, but we were also growing emotionally distant as well. It was a rocky time in our relationship, they say, and in fact, Jessica reveals that although she didn't cheat, she did start talking to another guy. She never acted on it, but she can understand why Juan did. Now, importantly, both Juan and Megan know about this other guy, but in what seems like a move almost out of spite, in a revelation that she really didn't need to say, Megan decides to drop this bombshell.
He even asked me about that guy. Do you have feelings for this guy?
I mean, he was your ex-boyfriend.
But
What?
yeah.
Oh, Megan. I mean, he was your ex-boyfriend, she says. For a best friend, Megan sure does seem happy to be stirring the pot, doesn't she? It's that smirk that does it for me. It really does feel like she said that on purpose. It felt like it was out of spite. Was she angry that Jessica hadn't told her Juan had cheated? Well, I'm not sure. But for one, this changes everything. The fact that this other guy wasn't just some random guy, it was an ex, someone she already had a history with, someone she presumably already had a physical and emotional connection with, has clearly rattled him. Now, credit to him, he doesn't bring this up here in front of Megan. He waits until they're back in the car alone, and it's there that he confronts Jessica.
You literally physically cheated on me.
You cheated emotionally.
What you did, says Juan, was far more intimate than you told me. Okay, you might not have physically cheated, but you had a past with this guy. So tell me, he says, did this guy ever come round to your house? To which Jessica admits that he did. And were the kids there? Asks Juan. To which Jessica says, no, they weren't. The house was empty. So how would you like it if I invited my ex-girlfriend round to my house alone at night and never told you about it? Juan asks. To which, of course, Jessica admits that wouldn't be nice. But, she protests, what I did wasn't on the same level as what you did, Juan.
I mean, but I didn't cheat on you. Should I have communicated to you that maybe someone was over? Yeah, but should you have communicated to me that you hooked up with the girl? Definitely.
I did.
Because you got caught?
Put yourself in my shoes, Juan says. I've just changed my entire life to be with you. Now look, I get that Juan feels blindsided by this news, right? But I also kind of think that because he was grilled by her friends all night, he's also harbouring anger and frustration right now. So finding out this information, learning that Jessica has also not been giving him the whole truth, has now provided him the convenient, the perfect opportunity. He now has something that he can hold over her too.
I just want you to know that I love you, and
Thanks for loving me, but I still feel the same.
He's trying to almost balance the scales. He's in effect overplaying his hand, really blowing up out of proportion what she did in a bid to try and minimise what he's done. Either way, right, one thing is absolutely certain here.
Clearly, there's a lot of issues we need to work on before we get married.
I couldn't agree more, Juan. Now, another couple that also has a lot to figure out are Shawn and Aaliyah. So the last time we saw them, Aaliyah was getting ready for her visa interview, and because her paperwork was filed out under her birth name, Douglas, she was nervous about how that would impact everything when she turns up as Aaliyah. But when we catch up with her immediately after the interview, it turns out she had no need to worry.
I'm approved! Finally! Me, Aliyah, it's moving to United States. Yeah!
After all the conflicting emotions, it turns out they weren't necessary. Everyone was polite, everyone was nice. They even asked me what I wanted to be called, Aaliyah says. They said after the interview was conducted, they said, welcome to America. Now, Aaliyah is buzzing. She's over the moon. So, of course, naturally, she jumps on a call to her fiancé, Shawn, to share the good news. And he, too, is excited. We can finally begin planning our future together. We can start to plan our wedding, he says. But, for as exciting as all of those future plans no doubt are, the mood suddenly gets dampened when they begin talking about what else they need to do.
You need to meet the other part of your family and everyone.
That might not be as fun. Well, my mom will be fun. I don't know about the rest of them.
Shawn's excited for Aaliyah to meet his mum in person, but as for the rest of his family, and don't forget, Shawn is a father, he does have adult children. He was married for a very long time. Yeah, those meetings aren't going to be as nice, he warns. Now, with that warning ringing in our ears, with what definitely seems like foreshadowing of what's to come in future episodes, the next time we catch up with Shawn, he's taking his 86-year-old mum out for lunch.
I'll have a shot of tequila and wine.
Do you want something to drink with it? Do you want water or anything?
Water.
And room the tequila. Please.
That right there is how I want to be when I'm 86. Like, we've seen her for all of 2 seconds, but already you can tell she wants to just have fun. Like, it's no wonder that Shawn is not worried about his mum's reaction. He knows his mum is going to be absolutely fine with Aaliyah. In fact, his mum reminds him, I first met Aaliyah when he was still Douglas. I had a front row seat for the whole journey. I've watched this play out, and actually, she says, I'm really close with Aaliyah. But comes the warning, I may be close, but as for everyone else, well, not so much.
My 3 children and some of my closest friends don't know that Aaliyah is, that she even exists, that she's coming to the US, that she's trans.
Oh, great! This sounds like a reoccurring theme on this show, doesn't it? Another person who's been hiding their partner. We've seen that a few times before, haven't we? Now, since Shawn's kids and some of his closest friends don't know that Aaliyah even exists, they of course naturally have no clue that Shawn is engaged. So why is that? Why has he chosen to keep it secret? Is he embarrassed of Aaliyah? Well, not quite. I mean, he doesn't say it in so many words. What he actually says is,
I'm trying to get clear with everything in my life, and until I feel like I'm super clear, then why give anybody else a reason to start poking holes?
Not gonna lie, that is a massive red flag. They're engaged, for Pete's sake. Shouldn't he be clear about his feelings by now? I mean, they've been dating for years, and yeah, okay, things have changed, of course they have. But if he wasn't sure, why did he get down on one knee and propose to her? Like, Aaliyah's getting ready to give up everything in order to move to the States to be with him. Shawn really needs to figure out what he wants, and fast. If he isn't comfortable, if he prefers to be with a man, as he's told us a number of times, he needs to pull the plug sooner rather than later. But by the same token, if he is going to go ahead and get married, well then he needs to tell his kids. But that thought has him very nervous.
It's not going to be an easy thing. It's like, oh, I'm getting married to a foreigner from Brazil who's 25 and
oh, by the way.
Did I mention transgender?
Are you after an easy life or the love of your life, Shawn? Okay, it might not be easy, but hold on, it's not going to get any easier by keeping it secret. If he started preparing his kids earlier, if he told his friends when he first met Aaliyah or Douglas, if he had drip-fed them with information a little at a time, then it would have been easier. Sorry, but at the end of the day, this really does feel like he's embarrassed. Now, his mum tells us that his kids are very opinionated.
Well, what do you think they are going to say?
The three of them are going to get together and they were going to be going, oh,
my dad's crazy.
And that's fair enough, right? His kids might be opinionated, but it doesn't change anything. If he's in love with Aaliyah, if he wants to get married, he's going to have to learn to live with opinionated people. Sorry, but that's just a harsh truth of life. What, does he really think that walking down the road and being married to a trans person isn't going to attract comments? Of course it is.
I believe that being a trans woman in Brazil has been really tough on her. A lot of disgusting looks, aggressive catcalling.
That's just the truth. There are people who are going to point and say things. Is it right? Well, no, it's not. But in the same way, what he's doing to Aaliyah isn't right either.
The other thought should be, how is Aaliyah going to feel?
Yeah, there's that.
Yeah, there is that, he says. I mean, it's worrying, isn't it? Like, the irony here is that by hiding this, by keeping it secret for so long, he's only going to hurt both Aaliyah and his kids even more. He's just being a coward, isn't he? Or either he's being a coward, or he's not sure he wants to marry her. Now, on that topic of hurting Aaliyah, when we join her next, she's spending time with her mum. And during the course of discussing what her life in America is going to be like, the topic of Shawn's kids gets brought up.
Os filhos dele, tipo, não ouviram falar de mim. E a gente já tá no relacionamento há muito tempo, né? Vai fazer, tipo, 3 anos.
Sim, mas ele já era pra ter contado, né, Aaliyah? Meu Deus, né?
At least Shawn has been honest with Aaliyah. Like, at least she knows his kids don't know about her. But clearly that does have her worried. Like, it is playing into all of her insecurities. Why hasn't he told them, she asks. Like, I'm not prepared to be kept a secret. He needs to be proud of me. He needs to love me for who I am, or let me go, she says.
If there is a part of him that feels ashamed by the person that I became, there is no way that we can be together and get married.
Now, from one person who's hiding his fiancé to another, let's catch up with Stevie and Mahdi. So, the last time we saw the pair, Stevie dropped the bombshell on Mahdi that she'd only just, literally just, told her dad about him. Mahdi was gobsmacked, and when we join them today, they're on their way to have dinner with Stevie's family, and Mahdi is terrified. But, just to make things worse, first impressions don't exactly calm his nerves.
Her family members are huddled around the fire and there are like murder weapons all around them, like axes, saws, and everything.
Not for the first first time, Mahdi equates this to an American horror movie. It's as if that thought, that worry, is constantly ringing in his head. He's worried he's going to get murdered over here. Now, perhaps that's some deep-rooted conditioning from where he was brought up, or maybe he's just watched too many horror movies. But just to top it off, just to really heighten his anxiety, it's at that moment that a black cat runs past him.
Is that yours?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, he lives here.
Yeah, the poor guy really is struggling. Now, thankfully, at least to begin with, Stevie's family start off easy, at least for now. They ask him how he's enjoying life in America. How's it different to your life in Iran, for example, they ask. And then comes the follow-up. Stevie's dad asks to know a little bit more about the tension between Iran and America.
When you turn on the news, like there's always Iranian chanting like death to America and these kind of things.
You didn't do that, huh?
Never.
Look, is that an awkward question? Yes, but is it fair? Like, can you understand why he's asking that? Yes, you can. It didn't come across as antagonistic. He wasn't asking it in a mean way. He just wants to know who he's dealing with. Like, he is, at the end of the day, a protective father, right? You can understand why he asked that. In fact, I'd even go as far as to say it's good that he asked it. He addressed the elephant in the room. He got it out of the way, rather than just having those thoughts festering away in his mind and potentially clouding how he sees Mahdi. He's addressed it head on. But if Mahdi thought that that was a hard question, well, the next one is going to hit it out of the park. You see, her dad now turns the spotlight over to how women are treated in Iran.
That's one of my big concerns, the way women were treated and the way you were raised.
Right now, in my head, I'm like, here we go. Good luck proving yourself.
Now, Mahdi deals with it really, really well. Like, he answers the question perfectly. He reassures them that yes, although that is how things are in Iran, although women are treated like possessions, for example, they need to get a signature from their husband in order to be able to leave the country. I grew up surrounded by that, raised in that way, but there came a point where I realised I didn't agree with that, he says.
But then I realized it just didn't make sense to me. Women are not properties.
Yeah, well, good.
Now, this seemingly reassures Stevie's dad. The first test appears to have been passed. Mahdi is invited inside for dinner, but that doesn't mean that her dad is done grilling him yet. You see, after speaking a little bit about the K1 visa process and why they can't wait a little bit longer in order to get married, again, just proving how uninformed he is about the whole process, how late Stevie has left it to tell him, to teach him about what it all entails. But his next question, the next thing he's worried about, is how can I be sure you're not just here for the freedom that America can offer you? How can you prove to me, essentially, that you really do love my daughter and not my country, he asks.
I think the only one that who can just proves that I'm not that kind of a person and I'm not here for that only is Stevie.
Now, that is quite a prickly question, isn't it? It's one with a lot of undertones. Let's just say it for how it is. A lot of cast members might have got upset or angry at being asked that. I think Mahdi deserves credit for just how well he answered it and how calm he remained. I get it, he says. I understand why you feel like that. It's a legitimate concern. I can't prove it to you here and now. There's nothing I can do or say that will make you believe I love your daughter. But I hope that she can feel my true intentions, he says in a really respectful way. Like, not just respectful. I think that does him a disservice. He's respectful, but he's also not defensive. That's important. It would have been very easy for him to feel like he's got his back up against the wall here. He tackles all of the questions brilliantly, and when they ask him, do you love Stevie? It's clear he's answering from his heart.
I've never been in love with anyone else more than Stevie. I can assure you that we can live together forever and with love and care for each other.
Let me just say it now, this might come back to haunt me, but I quite like Mahdi. He seems, at least from what we've seen so far, he seems like a genuine guy. And from the way that he's been tonight, from the way he's handled the questions, his general demeanour, everything they've seen about him, Mahdi also appears to be slowly but surely winning Stevie's dad round too.
I'm not sure if I'm ready to say tonight that I'll get my blessing, but what I've seen so far, I mean, he seems to be a nice, genuine guy.
Like, that is fair. Like, you can understand that he doesn't immediately want to give his blessing after only meeting the guy once for a few hours. But I think the positive here is that he's not close-minded. He's asked some tough questions, he's obviously on alert, but he hasn't come across as being mean or prejudiced or anti-Iran or Persians in any way. But, he says, it is still early days. Mahdi is going to need to do a lot of adapting to get used to life over here. And the truth is, for as well as this evening went, Stevie also has exactly the same concerns.
But it still worries me how different everything is to Mahdi. And at the end of the day, I don't know if he's ever going to get settled in here or what that will mean in terms of us getting married.